Joining us now, New York City public advocate Jumaane Williams. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
A troubling time here in New York City.
To say the least, we're in a crisis of leadership in New York City, without a doubt.
Do you have an opinion on what Kathy Hochul should do?
You know, I try to be very responsible as the next in line in succession, but I do believe it's clearer than it's ever been that Mayor Eric Adams cannot govern this city the way it needs to be governed, and my hope is that everyone takes into account the powers they have to make sure that doesn't happen. That includes voters, that includes the governor. Quite frankly, it includes the mayor, who I wish would make this a lot less hard than it has to be. It is very clear.
There's 4 deputy mayors that have submitted their resignations. It's not clear when they're actually going to leave their roles in government. But how does the New York City government function without these 4 deputy mayors?
Well, I think it's most important to understand here, excuse me, this is not about political rivals. This is not about people seeking this job. This is about what's best for New Yorkers. And what is key about these particular deputy mayors is that they are known for simply just wanting to make sure government is running, regardless of who's there. They struck an amazing intersection of loyalty and courage to step out and say, look, there's a point in time where we just can't do this anymore. So when you have these particular deputy mayors stepping out saying that they're going to resign, it sent shockwaves. And I think that was done intentionally because the city literally can't run. And some of them are put in place very specifically previously because they have the reputation of making sure the city's running. And so that's a huge.
Financially, the city is in a bit of a dire circumstance. The tax base isn't what it used to be. We've got office buildings that are sitting half empty after COVID. People haven't returned to work. There's issues across the city. What do you believe Mayor Adams is not focused on right now? What job is he not doing?
Well, I would say we're right now actually better than Mayor Adams himself tried to make us believe. He tried to blame the migrants for having to cut programs they never had to cut in the first place. The state budget is poised to have a surplus. But I am telling you, and I know everybody knows with the way the White House is going, we're going to be in some precarious situations. The mayor's entering budget season now with the city council. It is going to be very hard to focus on the budget with all of this swirling around him.
Without the support of the Democratic Party here in New York, he's not going to be able to get things done. Is that what you're arguing?
Without the support of a lot of folks and without possibly having 4 deputy mayors who everybody knows are the ones that do the grunt work, if every question is being asked about what's going on with the legal case, are you compromised based on what the DOJ and the Southern District of New York said, then the decisions you're making may not be on behalf of being safety for New Yorkers, but for yourself. Or you're going to be cooperating with the worst of the policies that are coming from the Trump White House, which directly harm New Yorkers. Are you going to make concessions that are going to be harmful?
What should the city do on the subject of immigration? Because if you look at the polling just among New York City residents, 71% support deporting immigrants living illegally in the United States. That's a big number. 54% of voters believe the city's immigration policies are too soft. And I know we're a sanctuary city. We have been for some time. But on the subject of immigration, clearly something has changed over the past few years, especially after the shipment of immigrants from Texas up to New York. How does the city deal with it?
By the way, people don't remember the mayor dared them to do that.
And then they did.
The mayor's the one who said, send them here, we'll show you how to do it. Unfortunately, fear-mongering works, and the mayor has been a part of that. I can show you some polls in history that have polled well for some pretty bad policies.
Do you think it's just fear-mongering?
So the answer is yes. If you're asking if there's some problems, there absolutely are, and we have to address them.
But isn't there resentment that's building in some parts of the city that migrants are getting a lot of help that city residents aren't getting?
This is absolutely true, and unfortunately, we have the mayor's posture and then the posture what actually is happening. So if the mayor tells you, I spent $7 billion on them, and I could have spent it on you, you're going to be angry.
Yeah.
But and if I say to you, that $7 billion was always here, just like we said, to provide the services that you need. So you should be asking the mayor, why didn't you ever spend that $7 billion on me? But you shouldn't blame the migrants for a decision that they didn't make. You should blame the mayor for the decision that he made and others made. And so the issue is, who are you angry at? And the people who have made the decisions to not spend that money on long-term New Yorkers who have always needed issues and were in crisis, but not blame the leaders who made the decisions to try to blame the migrants at what we've seen in history. So there are two things at the same time. We have some issues around immigration we have to solve, but the price of eggs and people's health care are not because of migrants, they're not because of trans youth, and they're not because of diversity programs.
Mayor Adams has a statement about what you've been saying about him out there. He says he's been clear that his loyalty is solely to the 8.3 million New Yorkers he represents. The same cannot be said for politicians like the public advocate, who was not chosen by the people of New York City to be their mayor, who is staying and doing everything he can right now to override democracy and walk into the mayor's position without being elected. Despite this investigation, in case the Adams administration has simultaneously broken housing records, created the most jobs in the city's history, provided for hundreds of thousands of longtime New Yorkers and migrants, built unprecedented public spaces and made our city safer at every level. As we've said, all deputy mayors remain in their roles for the time being to ensure a seamless transition. And we are actively working to find their replacements, just as it does every day. Our city continues to move forward. So he's saying that you're just doing this because you want to be mayor.
Well, the succession plan is that I be mayor temporarily. Doesn't mean I'll be mayor. So it's kind of deceptive, which is what I'm used to. But just for record, I was elected as public advocate in the first round. He barely made it to the last round, so we'll be clear about that. And you also
there's ranked choice voting here.
Yes, ranked choice voting. But you also have to remember which mayor is speaking. The one that says the city is so terrible, only I can fix it, or the one that's saying, look at what I've done, the city is so great. What we need is a mayor who's going to be honest with the people of where we are and be able to look them in the eye and say, I'm not compromised. And he has a long pattern and history of making very bad decisions. But again, I try my best not to be focused on him. He's clearly in crisis, and you see a person in crisis. I wish him the best. My concern is for the 8.3 million New Yorkers who themselves now realize they do not have a mayor. They have a deputy Donald Trump White House person. They have a deputy to the White House, not a mayor of New York City. And that's my biggest concern. If we had somebody who was saying, I'm solely focused on making sure New York's moving the right way, that's different. But that's not what we have right now.
We have a mayoral election coming up this fall. There's a primary in June. That primary is basically going to decide who the mayor is, given that it's a Democratic primary and the city generally votes for Democrats. There are a number of people in the race. One person who's not in the race so far is Andrew Cuomo, although it's expected that he might announce. What would you think of an Andrew Cuomo running for mayor of New York City?
I'm not sure which would be worse, Mayor Adams or Mayor Cuomo. I think people have selective amnesia. We often confuse bullying with leadership, and so I understand why folks would be drawn right now based on what's going on in the White House. But I would remind folks how harmful he was to New Yorkers in many of his decisions during COVID and even after, and even before COVID.
Is there someone you like?
Well, I've decided that right now I'm going to rank Comptroller Atlanta either first or second. Have to make some decisions on what else is happening with folks who are in there. I'm running for re-election, so we're focused on that as well. What I'm not doing is trying to posture to try to get the mayor's job. What I want to do as public advocate is make sure they understand that there is calm hands to make sure that we have competent and a continuation of government through all eventualities. And right now, we don't have that in the City Hall.